They were just two tiny newborns, wrapped in hospital blankets, lying side by side in the neonatal ward. No names. No family. Just a small note beside their crib that said, "Twins. Born early." For weeks, no one came for them. No one. Until one afternoon, a couple walked in and changed everything. The hospital halls buzzed with the sound of monitors and nurses' footsteps. But in that quiet corner of the ward, two babies slept peacefully, unaware that the world had already given up on them. They were beautiful. Brown skin, tiny curls, fragile fingers that reached out for warmth. The nurses adored them, calling them our little miracles. But the adoption papers sat untouched. Family after family came to look at other newborns, but not them. You could almost hear the whispers. They're twins, and black. Hard to place. Maybe someone from their own background will come along. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Until one chilly afternoon, a couple walked through the glass doors, Mark and Anna Whitmore. They weren't expecting to fall in love that day. They'd been through 3 failed adoption attempts, endless waiting lists, and years of heartbreak. All they wanted was a chance to be parents, to give love, however it came. When Anna first saw the twins, she stopped mid-step. Something in her heart whispered, "These are your children." Mark saw it too, the way their tiny hands moved together, as if holding each other for safety. He turned to the nurse and asked softly, "What about them?" The nurse sighed. "They've been here a while. Beautiful babies. But no one's come forward." Anna's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Mark, and he didn't have to say a word. The next few days were a blur of paperwork, interviews, and waiting. When the agency learned that Mark and Anna were white, there were questions. Uncomfortable ones. "Are you sure you want to adopt black children? Have you thought about how people might react?" Anna's answer was simple. "We're not adopting colors. We're adopting hearts." The approval came through 2 weeks later. The twins were finally going home. They named them Eli and Ava. Eli, meaning my God, and Ava, life. The first night home was chaos. Crying, bottles, sleepless hours. But between the exhaustion and the tears, there was laughter. Real, full-hearted laughter. They painted the nursery together, hung tiny stars from the ceiling, and whispered promises. "You'll never be alone again." Still, outside their little world, not everyone understood. At the grocery store, strangers stared. Some smiled politely. Others asked, "Are they yours?" One woman even said, "You're so brave." Anna smiled and replied, "Love isn't bravery. It's just love." But there were hard days too. When the twins started preschool, some children pointed. One little boy said, "You don't look like your mom." Eli came home quiet that day. Mark knelt beside him and said, "You don't have to look like us to belong to us." And for a moment, the little boy's world felt safe again. As the years passed, Eli and Ava grew into curious, bright kids. Eli loved drawing superheroes. Ava loved singing. Her voice soft but sure. They filled the house with joy, with fingerprints on the walls and laughter in the halls. Mark and Anna were just parents, the kind who burned pancakes on Saturdays and built blanket forts on Sundays. But when the twins turned 10, something shifted. They started to notice the world's differences more sharply. The way people looked at their family in public. The quiet pauses when they called Anna Mom. One day after school, Ava asked, "Mom, why do people stare at us?" Anna paused for a long time. Then she said, "Because we remind them what love really looks like, and sometimes that surprises people." That night, Anna and Mark talked for hours. They wanted their children to grow up proud of who they were, and proud of the love that raised them. So they began celebrating everything that made their family unique. They learned to cook soul food together. They talked about history, hard truths and hopeful futures. They surrounded their kids with people who loved them for their hearts, not their skin. And slowly, the world around them began to change. 10 years later, the twins were 20 now. Grown, confident, beautiful souls. Eli had become an artist. Ava, a nurse. On a bright summer afternoon, they gathered friends and family in the backyard. It was Anna and Mark's 25th anniversary. They planned a surprise. When everyone was seated, Ava took the microphone. Her voice trembled, but her smile glowed. Ava, 20 years ago, you walked into a hospital and saw 2 babies no one wanted. You didn't see skin or difference. You saw us. And because of you, we learned what family truly means. Eli stepped forward and handed them a framed picture. It was the first photo ever taken of the 4 of them. 2 exhausted parents holding 2 tiny babies. On the bottom, in golden letters, were the words, "Love chose us." Anna and Mark couldn't hold back their tears. Neither could anyone else. Sometimes, the smallest choices echo the loudest in our lives. A visit to a hospital. A quiet decision to love when it would have been easier to walk away. Mark and Anna didn't just give 2 babies a home. They gave the world a reminder. That love isn't defined by color, or by what people expect. It's defined by the courage to care. Because in the end, one small act of kindness can change everything.